All right, it is 6:01, so we will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Matt Craven. I'm the Director of Outreach for the College of Health and Human Performance. So you all have probably gotten emails from me or from one of my colleagues, Ms. Kelly Deal, who is the Director of Advising. She could not join us tonight, but we have plenty of people on the call who will be able to answer all of your questions. Tonight is our kinesiology academic night. So we will be going over our 4 degrees from the kinesiology department. We have program coordinators, it looks like from each one of our areas. And if we don't have one of them, we have somebody that can definitely speak to it. We also have 2 academic advisors joining us tonight, as well as 3 amazing kinesiology students who are here with me tonight. So you guys will be able to ask questions about the programs, about student life, whatever it may be. Feel free to, raise your hand and ask questions on the mic, or you can put them in the chat. We'll be monitoring both. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Patrick Ryder, I believe, is going to kick us off.
Hey everyone, how you guys doing today? I got to get back into my virtual teaching mode. So that's just me talking and everybody kind of looking at me like James is right now in the background, right? Just awkwardly. So welcome all our new students to the meeting. I'm really excited to get to know you guys. My name is Patrick Ryder, as Matt mentioned, and I am the assistant chair for the department. I've been in the department for about 15 years, so I'm getting a little long in the tooth, but my research interests center around sports science. So I've been doing sports science now for my career. And you'll see me in lots of different classes across the department, from computer applications to sport analytics and all kinds of fun things. But what I wanted to do today is just kind of introduce the department and some of the people that you'll be working with closely if you decide to come here and choose one of our 4 majors. But at first, and I always talk about this, we are the Department of Kinesiology. So does anybody know what the word kinesiology means? And you have to actually answer the question. I'm one of those annoying professors that waits for you to answer the question, right, James?
The scientific study of human movement.
My man, yes. So we went over this in class, so great job. It's the scientific study of human movement. And so what that means essentially is we ask a lot of questions about movement, right? So that's what you'll be learning here at ECU. So questions like, how do we move, right? What muscles do we use? How do we use those muscles to contribute to movement? Anything about why do we move? So what's the psychology? What makes you get out of the bed and get to the gym and do those kind of things? What happens when we move, right? So what are the results? So I know there's probably several people in here that want to be a physical therapist when you get older, right? When you're done. Anybody want to comment in the chat? One physical therapist. I know one of y'all is a physical therapist. All right, there's one. Thank you very much. How do we teach other people to move, right? So how can we relay the proper movement to people to have them to recreate it? And then some broader questions like how does general movement differ from organized movement, right? So, if I'm walking versus am I race walking, right? So what is the structure about organized movement? And then finally, how can we manage some of that related to sport and other cultural contexts? So how does movement relate to the world around us? We have 4 different academic programs, which you guys are probably all familiar with. The first is a BS in exercise physiology. The next is a BS in health fitness specialist. Then we have a BS in sports studies and a BS in phys ed, okay, or physical education teacher preparation. So I'm going to turn it over now to our program director, Ms. Lisa Fredrickson, who is the program director for the BS in exercise physiology, and she will give you a little background into ex-phys. So take it away, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. Like Patrick said, I'm the program coordinator for the exercise physiology degree. So I always like to ask everyone what exercise physiology means or what you think exercise physiology means. Anyone want to take a stab at that? I can't. Awesome. No. Chirp, chirp, quiet. Okay, so exercise physiology, it's a very broad term that basically describes the field of study that's devoted to understanding the responses to exercise, physical activity, and sport, and how those responses impact health, disease prevention, along with sports performance. So sometimes this is more commonly referred to as exercise science as well. Here at ECU, I think we have a really unique exercise physiology program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think separates ECU's XPhys program from others. And really that boils down to our curriculum and our faculty. With our curriculum, we have a combination of lectures, labs, a lot of hands-on research experience for our students. So you get that opportunity to work really closely with our faculty and getting really strong letters of recommendation and that hands-on experience if you're looking to go into exercise physiology or cardiac rehab or even physical therapy. So within the exercise physiology degree, we actually have two different concentrations, but both of those concentrations have that hands-on experience with lectures and labs. And both of our curriculums have biomechanics, obviously some exercise physiology courses. We are unique in that we offer an EKG or an electrocardiograph course for our students focusing on stress testing. We have some exercise prescription courses, resistance training, exercise prescription for clinical populations. We have a cardiopulmonary physiology class, and then that research and hands-on experience course as well. One of our tracks also offers an internship, which is nice for students who are looking to get more of that hands-on experience to help you kind of network and before graduation. So a lot of times students come into exercise physiology with the idea that they want to go into physical therapy, and that's a great idea, a great goal, but there are also a lot of other careers that are available to you as an exercise physiology student. So some of those would just be, broadly speaking, working as an exercise physiologist, a wellness coordinator, a research associate, or some sort of scientist, working as a strength and conditioning coach, a respiratory therapist, any type of medical device sales, whether that's orthopedic, cardiac, or pharmaceutical sales. Cardiac and pulmonary rehab are also fields that our graduates go in, and they also become health and wellness coaches. So aside from those pre-professional schools that you might be thinking of, like PT, OT, there's still a lot of other options available to you as an exercise physiology student. And so with that, that's pretty much all I have right now for exercise physiology.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. We did have one question in the chat from Jade. Yes, or she asked, would exercise physiology be in the health department?
You can work in like are you talking like Department of Public Health, like when you graduate? There are some exercise physiologists who do work in more of like the public health sector, if you want to think of it that way. Or if you're thinking of health as like hospital settings, cardiac pulmonary rehab, or more of a clinical base, then yes, exercise physiology falls in that setting as well, or like pre-med, pre-PA, that sort of thing. So if I didn't understand your question, Jade, just jot some more in the chat and we'll address it at the end.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Andrea Boyanano. And she is going to tell us, she's the director of our BS in Sports Studies program. So Andrea, will you take it away?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I think you're going to hear the word unique a lot, but I am the program director for the program, or sports studies rather. And what's unique about our degree is that we are in the Department of Kinesiology. So many of the schools will have theirs within the education college or maybe a business. But what our degree allows our students to do is really in every aspect of form that you can think of. So personal training, physical therapy. We've had students go into physical therapy, strength and conditioning, marketing, finance, athletic directing, you name it. We have this breadth of experience that you can gain in our degree. What else is unique about our degree is that we have a minor. So you're allowed to get a minor in communications. You can get a minor in business if you would like. It's up to you. So that's popular for our degree, is that students are allowed to get a minor, and we really encourage a minor in another aspect of whether it's management or marketing or communications that our students are able to get with this degree. So a lot of our classes and coursework include admin, communications, leadership. We have psychology, we have recreation and park and management. So that's what the breadth of our curriculum is about. We also most recently created new opportunities for our students to gain experiential learning. So you can do that through the internship. We have that, you can either split it up or you can go full semester at the internship. So we really want our students to get real world experience and work with a sport organization of their choosing. Another aspect that we just included also is it's a special topics course. We took 10 students to the Super Bowl just recently, about a month ago, I think now. Probably a month ago. And we were able to have that into a course or incorporate that into a course so students could offset some of that cost, but really gain that experiential learning experience. And while there, we went to NASCAR and we worked hospitality events, and then we worked the Super Bowl as well. So that's pretty much the gist of our degree, but I hope you got that. It is a unique degree, and we want our students to go in nearly whatever aspect they would like to within the sport realm. I'll turn it over to you, Patrick.
Awesome, thanks. And again, that's a really full of unique experiences, and all of our different programs have really unique experiences, which you can kind of use to find your passion. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jeff Pizzatella now. He's talked a little bit about physical educators and that degree.
Good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. My name's Jeff Pizzatella, and I'm the program coordinator for physical education. I believe this is my 10th year at ECU, and prior to that, I spent 25 years in the public schools teaching physical education and coaching it from middle school to high school and athletic director. And I think if we're going to stay on the unique theme, one thing that we kind of offer with some of our faculty is that we have a lot of experience within the school system. So we have those connections to get you that extra experiences that you might want related to teaching. But in general, our program or our degree works on two things. Number one, getting a degree in physical education. The other thing we work on is working towards your license to teach. So those are two separate things. But when you graduate from ECU with our degree, you should have your degree, obviously, and then a teaching license for North Carolina. So there are two things we work on. And the common theme, I think, through all the programs here is that you get a lot of experience. We'll have you in the schools for physical education your first year, usually second semester freshman year, where you just go into schools and we set up placements for elementary, middle school, and high school, and also adapted physical education. Then the next semester or next year, we get into the practice of teaching, and we do a lot of peer teaching settings. And this is a course that is an elective for other programs. So for instance, this semester, I think half of my class is exercise phys majors. And so I try and make it applicable to them of how to teach or how to execute a prescription that you have from a physical therapist standpoint to a patient. So I think that's helpful. And then after that year, you're in the schools for teacher prep for elementary methods, where we take you in the schools, secondary methods, adapted physical education. And then we finish up with it's basically a year-long internship. The first semester, which is the fall semester, you'll go 1 day a week And then after that, you attend that school that you're assigned to for the entire spring semester. So we give you many experiences to be successful. The other thing I would say is that our job is to give you opportunities to be as marketable as possible, but it's up to you to kind of take that step and, try to get yourself in a position so when you do graduate, you have a lot more to offer than just a college degree. Dr. Brunano was just talking about having her class go, having one class go to the Super Bowl this year. I've got a group of students this year who we started planning about a year and a half ago that'll be attending our national conference and presenting in Seattle, Washington. They've been with me to Winston-Salem to present at state conferences. So they're getting those experiences, but that's up to you. Not every student within our programs are going to attend those or want to be a part of them. But if you want to be that person to kind of take the next step and put yourself in a position where you can shine when you graduate, these are the opportunities that you need to take advantage of. And I'll stop right there, Patrick, because I can probably keep talking for a while.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff, for all that great information. I don't think Dave Kimball is here today. All right.
No, I'm covering for Dave today.
Okay.
So you get to hear me twice, everybody. How exciting. So now I'm going to talk to you about the health fitness specialist degree. The program coordinator for that is Dave Kimball. He's obviously not here right now, but he did ask me to cover a few slides for him and provide you some information on that degree. So I will do my best. And if I miss anything, Patrick, please chime in. So the health fitness degree basically provides students the knowledge and skills and abilities to conduct health and fitness programs in a corporate wellness setting, in the private settings, and in a public gym type of setting. It also serves as a pre-professional degree for students who are interested in the Masters of Athletic Training or the DPT, so physical therapy degree as well. The health fitness specialist degree really is more hands-on oriented. They have a lot of labs built into their curriculum. They have a personal training lab. They focus on physical activity across the lifespan and aging. They talk about group leadership and group exercise in that degree field as well. And they also have a measurement and physical activity course. Within the health fitness specialist degree, they also have an internship, which, as you've seen, is pretty common across all of our degrees. So for students in the health fitness specialist, they can do that as a 40-hour per week internship, so one semester, or recently they are working on creating a strength and conditioning minor. So for those people who are wanting to go into strength and conditioning, you can get your internship and hands-on experience that way to sit for that certified strength and conditioning coach. And the health fitness degree, one thing that's really unique about the health and fitness degree is that it is accredited by the National Commission for Strength Training, so the NSCA. So that is a neat feature of their degree as well. Did I forget anything?
Nope, I think you nailed it. Some of the places that the health fitness specialist degree have had students get jobs recently have been the places like Google. Corporate fitness has made a huge move up in the importance that in the corporate. So a lot of companies are offering health services to their employees, and so this degree will help you land those kind of jobs. So working at facilities like Apple, Google, the Cooper Institute, IBM, all those kind of big name tech companies where you wouldn't necessarily associate with an exercise science degree, you can actually get a really nice job there going forward. So again, as Ms. Fredrickson said, the health fitness specialist degree is very, very hands-on. So if you're a person that likes to get out of the classroom and get your hands dirty a little bit, that's a good kind of program for you. So to kind of just summarize what each one of our program directors has said, are unique. Our degrees are unique, but they're connected. And so there's a lot of overlap between different courses that you'll take across the curriculums. Each one is designed specifically to get you to whatever end goal that you want. However, as a lot of you guys will realize, it's not uncommon for people to kind of change as they go through their college career. And so our programs are designed to help you change and not lose time towards graduation, right? To keep you on track as close as possible. So if you do decide that, I came in and I wanted to be an exercise physiologist, but it wasn't quite hands-on enough for me. I think I might enjoy health fitness specialist more because I like that hands-on aspect, right? So, you could just change majors to that. You could also potentially, if you did decide, hey, kinesiology isn't right for me, but I really enjoyed my kinesiology class, but I want to kind of pursue a different area. We have a couple of different minor options. So as Dr. Buenana said, there's a sports studies minor, but there's also an exercise science minor as well. So a couple of different options for you. Now, we're all here to help you through your program, right? So when you come to ECU, you're getting a team of dedicated people who are really truly invested in your success. We want you to be successful because that in turn helps us place the next group of students to help them be successful. So you play a really valuable role in that, with your questions and your enthusiasm, and that keeps us motivated and energized to help students each day. And that's one of the things I found when I came to ECU, because I went to NC State and then I came to ECU as a student way back when, and I realized very quickly that ECU had a much more of a family-like feel to it than NC State. I didn't feel lost in the crowd. I felt like my faculty really cared about me, and so that's hopefully what we try to foster here. So enough from me. I want to turn it over to a couple of our student ambassadors to tell you a little bit about their experience. So Mac, if you would, take it away.
All right. So we have 3 awesome students with us today. I'm going to let them kind of introduce themselves, what their degree is, and why they chose their degree. And then we can kind of talk about some stuff they're involved in on campus. But as we're kind of going through and talking through this is a great time to put questions in the chat if you have any. And then we will circle back to those here shortly. So Kendall.
My name is Kendall. I'm a health fitness specialist major. I actually started as ex-phys, but then as I said, I really liked the hands-on aspect. And I'm also pre-PT, so I'm able to get on my prerequisites just with a few additions. So I actually switched over to health fitness specialist this year.
My name's Haley. I'm a senior and I'm an exercise physiology major. I'm planning on to go to PA school. I originally wanted to go to PT school, but I switched over to PA and I was still able to stay ex-phys, and all the classes will transfer over.
I'm James Price. I'm a senior here at ECU studying exercise physiology, and I haven't changed my major and I'm kind of stuck to it. But like Patrick was saying earlier, like I came in wanting to be a physical therapist, and my knee, I tore my ACL, and I was like, oh wow, sparked the flame. I want to do that for other people. I want to work with athletes. Well, there's a lot of other people that want to do that too. So I had to kind of narrow my options down as I got older, and kind of felt the pressure of graduating, and I didn't have a set job. So I was like, well, what else do I like to do? And I've kind of worked towards strength and conditioning just a little bit more. And I have an internship up here with the athletes at East Carolina. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about what you're involved in on campus maybe?
Sure. So I am in Alpha Gamma Delta, one of the sororities on campus, and I'm also in the Kinesiology Majors Club, and we're actually this week going to the International Health and Fitness Summit. It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited.
I'm in the Kinesiology Majors Club as well, and in the pre-PA club.
I'm a cheerleader at East Carolina. I'm not in any clubs, but I'm a cheerleader.
He's got a lot of excitement, so
Yeah.
very passionate about ECU. So this is your guy to talk to. So, all right, looks like we do have some questions. Lisa, I'm thinking these are going to mainly be for you. Can you use exercise physiology degree to get into the DPT program?
Yes, you can. The exercise physiology degree has the prereqs built in for physical therapy school. However, all of our degrees would work for physical therapy school. So the difference would be if you chose sports studies or PE, you'd just have a few extra classes you'd have to take to meet those physical therapy school requirements to get in. And that's where our advisors come in really handy. If you know, hey, I really like sports studies, or I kind of think I might want to teach and work at the elementary school, but maybe I'm still thinking of PT school too. Working with your advisor to identify that ahead of time, then they can help kind of plan your 4 years to get those extra courses that you would need for physical therapy school if you're not in exercise physiology. Does that make sense? Okay.
And we have 3 specific advisors for kinesiology itself. 2 of them work with exercise physiology and 1 works with sports studies, health fitness specialist, and PE. So we have an awesome team that kind of supports you alongside of these professors here, as well as everybody in the department, truly. So let's see what else. What is the best degree to go for out of the 4 if you want to be a physical therapist? Kind of just answered that. Each one has its pros. So kind of narrowing down what you're interested in, what your goals are, something you'll work through with your advisor. Who would I need to contact so that I can get my classes in order for kinesiology to become a physical therapist? So once you become a ECU student, you are an assigned an advisor. We haven't mentioned this yet, but we have a pre-professional advising center, and those advisors kind of help you identify opportunities or extra steps that you may need in order to pursue those higher or secondary degrees, graduate degrees, physical therapy, whatever it may be. So you get almost 2 advisors in that case. So once you are deposited as an ECU student, and you have declared one of the kinesiology degrees as your intended major, that is when an advisor would be in contact with you, and they'll kind of set up your 4-year plan. To be a physical therapist for a professional sports team, what is the best option? Kind of hit on that one as well. Where have some of the sports studies students interned? Dr. B?
Unmute myself. I won't fall for that trap anymore. So in Array, I have just arrived in the fall, but from what I've gotten in our current list of interns in intercollegiate athletics and high school athletics and professional sports in the Raleigh area, in our own area, most recently the junior golf tour, Pinecrest. So it really depends on what, and also some of the local fitness centers working with strength and conditioning coaches as well, administratively and program wise. So it really depends on what the student wants to do, but I'm a big proponent in allowing students to really find out what they don't like and what they do like. And so I will assist the student in the best way I can possible to make that happen. And wherever they want to intern, we'll work your way up to it.
And they asked a follow-up, can you help get internships out of state? Is that a possibility?
Yes, we also encourage it. Fly the coop.
Dr. B is all about expanding your network, because that's what's important in sport. So it's really important everywhere, but sport especially. Does the health fitness specialist degree help you to become an athletic trainer? Yes, but also Coach P, I'm also going to let you intervene because I know you have a good argument about why PE is a good one for athletic training as well.
Yeah, so the athletic training has switched to a master's degree now. And so my pitch for why physical education is the best fit for anyone that's a potential getting into athletic training. Most of the athletic training majors would be very interested in securing a job on the professional level or the college level. The issue becomes, number one, that there's not that many positions available, but if you don't get a job in one of those 2 levels, and let's say you want to go down to the high school level and be an athletic trainer, in order for you to work in that school, you have to have a teaching license. So we used to kind of flip-flop it when athletic training was undergraduate, and then we had a master's program to get a teaching license. Now that athletic training is a master's, it's probably a good idea to do physical education as a undergraduate, take the prerequisites for athletic training. So then when you graduate, you have a teaching degree and a license. And then when you go into athletic training, and let's say you decide you're going to be on the high school level, you have that license to kind of fall back on to get into the public schools.
Cool. Let's see. How can majoring in kinesiology be beneficial to someone who wants to be a pediatric occupational therapist in the future? Which program would be most beneficial to that career goal? It's a good question.
I think this probably falls similar to DPT. Any of the programs would work, as long as you're getting those extra requirements in for the sciences that are required. I think kinesiology in and of itself is a great choice for OT school, just because there's a lot of neuroscience that goes into occupational therapy and those fine-tuned motor controls. So having that solid foundation in the neuroscience of movement and biomechanics, I think would be really helpful for folks who want to pursue occupational therapy. And then, if you're thinking kids, I think some of the PE classes would be a fantastic choice, not to mention some of our faculty do research with children. So you could always get some more experience working with that pediatric population there.
And I'll mention too, so my name is Rachel. I'm one of the academic advisors for exercise physiology. So we get a lot of students that are kind of pre-OT that start with us. And I will say they kind of move around a little bit more. Different schools will have different prereqs, but generally OT requires less sciences than a lot of the other ones. It's usually just the anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. And then maybe one more biology, but then other prereqs are going to be more psychology, sociology, medical terminology, a little bit more of those kind of softer skills. Can definitely use any of the 4 kinesiologies kind of going that way. But within HHP, we also have recreational therapy. It's a really good match with occupational therapy. As well as our BS in Family and Community Services, which is in our HDFS, Human Development and Family Sciences, I think. It's a lot of words within there. So there are just 2 other departments that we do have within the College of Health and Human Performance. So we have a lot of majors kind of throughout. So those are also 2 good options for OT if you wanted a little bit less science. But in general, with any of those programs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, PA, med school, chiropractic, all the fun things, you don't really have to have a specific major. You just need to look at the specific programs you want to apply for to see what their specific prereq courses are that you need to complete. And then just kind of finding a major that, you're going to enjoy, to see yourself using, in different aspects, kind of from there.
Thank you, Rachel. What kind of labs do we do in the health fitness major? I think Ms. Fredrickson answered this, but personal fitness testing, exercise testing, and evaluation, strength and conditioning, group exercise. I've actually seen this in person. We have a video of it on our Instagram page if you're interested. Coach Kimball's out there actually, coaching the students up on how to do, I'm not going to use the right term, so I'm not going to embarrass myself here, but I think it's a clean. And so he's out there coaching, and then you can then go and prescribe that for your clients as well. So it's really cool to see. Let's see what else. Dr. B, is a master's degree required to be an athletic director?
That's a good question. So usually most athletic directors, depending on if it's an athletic director for a high school, and I'll let Mr. P talk about that, but typically for an intercollegiate program, yes, most athletic directors will have advanced degrees nowadays. But that is not something you have to go into right away. You should gain experience, and often working in intercollegiate athletics, depending on where you work, where you start, they do have tuition remission. So you can get your master's while working in an athletic department as well, which is what most people do and what we encourage. But yes, typically most athletic directors, if not all, have their masters.
And then I would say from a public school standpoint, you don't have to have a master's, but you would have to have a teaching degree to be able to be in the schools to do that. So that again is where you kind of plan out your path of where you might want to be. If you're thinking about being an athletic director in a public school, okay, then I might need to do the physical education route. But if I know that I just want to work on that college level, then maybe that sports studies program might be a better fit for your long-term goals as far as becoming an athletic director.
All right, I think that answers that. Is there any talks in ever getting a 3+3 physical therapy degree at ECU where is a lessened amount of time for a degree? So I think you're maybe referring to a 4+1. At this time, we do not have one in the kinesiology department. We do have one in the recreation sciences department, though, where you get your BS in recreational therapy and then MS in recreation sciences, and you can do that in 5 years. I don't think there's any plans for kinesiology yet. I didn't think so. Is there an opportunity to work on patient contact hours and prep for PA admission? So I'm going to, it's no. However, if you're interested in PA school, I would highly recommend getting involved with research or any post undergraduate degree, getting involved with research with any of these fine faculty members, because it's going to set you apart on your applications. And it's a way to get involved, and there's always some really cool projects going around. Ms. Frederickson, do you have anything else for that one?
No, just getting involved is pretty much your best bet with those pre-professional programs. And then a lot of students pick up hours for shadowing over the summer or through some clinics here in Greenville. They can set up some shadowing opportunities there, but we don't have anything where you can get course credit for shadowing unless it's in the form of like an internship. But typically your internships are towards the end of your degree and you need those hours ahead of time. So,
I was about to say, Haley, do you want to share how you're getting your contact hours?
Yeah, so for PA school, you have to have minimum 1,000 hours, and that's kind of a lot. So last year I took a class at the community college here, and I'm an EMT right now. So working 24-hour shifts, I'm racking up the hours pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm doing EMT right now, and I'm trying to find some places to job shadow at, and then like I've helped with research here and stuff too. So
What other questions do we have? Coach P, did you do any extra work as well to become an athletic director, or does it come with a PE major?
I would say typically, I didn't have any experience with that from my undergraduate degree. But fortunately, my master's degree was in athletic administration, which was really helpful for me in that. But technically, to become an athletic director in a middle or high school, you don't have to have any special requirements for that. But I think it is helpful to have a little bit of administrative background going into that field, if that answers the question.
What other questions do we have?
And while you guys are thinking about questions, I'll just chime in. One of the things that's really great about our 3 students here, and you've also heard us all talking about it, is the program that you choose when you start college doesn't have to be necessarily the program that you end college with. That's first thing. Second thing, while you're here, you can tailor your degree a little bit within the confines of the degree to get those skills that you think are important for your degree, right? So Emma, I think you asked a question about pediatric OT. You know, there's lots of different classes that your advisors can help you identify, or you can ask some of the professors here, or when you get to campus, you'll meet people and ask other students. Ask the OTs that you're shadowing or that you know. Go and see, hey, what class do you wish you would have had that you don't have now? What do you use a lot now that you didn't use in the that you didn't prepare yourself for, right? That you didn't think, like maybe a psychology course, right? A child psychology course, or maybe you know, a motor skill development course, right? Where through our PE program, where they're teaching, you know, adolescents how to move, right? Where that sounds like occupational therapist thing to do, right? So there's lots of ways that you can kind of structure your degree to get some of those things that you want to pick up for your specific path. And then Cam asked a really good question too about studying abroad. So I'm gonna let Dr. B talk about the study abroad that she's having, but we are developing some additional study abroad programs in addition to the one you're about to hear about. So take it away, Dr. B.
Me, Dr. B? Okay. I actually, we're hoping to incorporate some study abroad opportunities within the coming years. Typically, a lot of the either World Cups or the Olympics take place in the summer. And so we are hoping, fingers crossed, to incorporate an experiential learning opportunity as well as a study abroad opportunity within the coursework as well, to kind of offset some of those costs that we talked about that would be if we just went to Paris in 2024. So that's what we're looking to have. We also, Dr. Warner, from another professor in our program, she has taken students to study abroad, and Matt can speak to her experience on one of those trips as well. So now that the pandemic is kind of gone, we can start to look to those classes more. So incorporating those types of experience, but they all come with hands-on learning and a lot of fun. And so hopefully we get 2024 down pat, in addition to other ones that Dr. Warner has taken students on before. And Mac, I don't remember where you went, but maybe you can chime in to let the students know where you went.
For sure. So I actually graduated from ECU with a BS in sports studies and an MS in sport management. I worked in athletics here for 6 years while I was obtaining my degree. So I can kind of, you know, this is where my heart is with this department. So I get to work with them on a daily basis now, which is awesome. But when I was in undergrad, I went to Ireland and England for 10 days over the summer, and you're able to knock out 6 credits worth of semester work in 10 days, which is pretty cool. Another thing for anybody that's out of state, your tuition for study abroad is considered in-state. So you get in-state tuition for an out-of-state, or excuse me, out-of-state tuition for an in-state price, essentially. You are able to knock out quite a few credits. You can go over the summer, you can go during the semester. I don't believe there's any specific study abroads with the exercise physiology specifically, but that's not to say that you can't go. So you can go and kind of knock out some general educations. There are programs that are super specific and it's like, oh, only these majors, but then there's also a ton of broad ones. If you're interested in honors college, they are very in link with the ECU Tuscany. Yeah, that's what it's called, where honors college students go to Italy for a while. I think it's a whole semester, but there's study abroad opportunities. Tuition and scholarships can also offset that study abroad cost as well. In-state tuition only if you study abroad for out-of-state students, yes. How early in your 4 years do you start taking classes for your specific major? It kind of depends. We're seeing a lot of students come in with early college credits, AP, IBs, whatever it may be, but you'll work with your advisor to kind of set your path and figure out what counts and what is equal to. That's where your academic advisors, who are all rock stars, will come in. But you start taking introductory classes your freshman and sophomore year. So kind of just depends on what program you're in. So any other additions to that comment? I think so. What other questions? And it could be about anything. Like, it does not just have to be about classes. We have 3 students here. It could be about where to live on campus if you want. Yeah, do you want to share about why you chose ECU? Maybe?
Yeah, so ECU, I'm a legacy. My sister, brother-in-law, both of my cousins, and my mom came to East Carolina. So I knew I was coming to be a pilot immediately. There was kind of no doubt. I applied to one school. I didn't waste my time at any other schools just to see if I could get in. I really didn't care. So I was coming to ECU regardless. I'll give you a few inputs on a student perspective. They give you a lot of information and it's kind of intimidating. I can imagine the pressure. I'm getting ready to leap onto my own, and you guys are getting ready to leap on your own here in college. I mean, that's what you're feeling right now. You're probably a little bit nervous and everything. So biggest things I could say, do not be afraid to stand out in your classes. And I'm not saying to be the class clown, but ask the questions, be the person that answers the questions. The professors will remember you and it will set you apart later down the line. Trust me. Read your textbooks, buy them and read them, because it's going to make the classes go by a little bit easier than not knowing what's going on, because these professors are doctors. They are smart. They have done it, and it's hard for them sometimes to kind of relate that to someone who's never heard what they're talking about. And when you get those professors that can do that, you got a great professor. A few other things. I recommend getting a bike. I've preached it for my 4 years being here. You can sleep in a little bit later. That's what we all want. You got 8 a.m. classes. You don't want to have to wake up and walk at 7:30. You can sleep until 7:50 and get to a class across campus in 5 minutes if you got a bike. You can't sprint that fast. So recommend doing that, and be yourself. Get to know people. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. That's what makes your college experiences the best.
It's hard to follow.
I don't
Haley.
think I can top that.
Why'd you choose ECU?
I chose ECU because, well, out of all the places I toured, it just like felt right. And I was kind of also wanting to go to UNCW just because it's like the beach or whatever. But ECU had the best like kinesiology program out of, I think I was between like State and Wilmington and here. And ECU definitely had the best kinesiology program out of all of them. But yeah, it just really felt right. And now my little brother's applying to colleges, and I'm really trying to get him to go here so I can come back and visit. But
Kendall?
I was stuck between here and Chapel Hill when I was applying, but I came for an honors admitted students day, and I remember I went up and I had a question about something. They couldn't answer it, and they emailed somebody who drove to campus to come talk to me, and that kind of just like they actually like really cared. And I've noticed that ever since I've been here, your professors like they really care about you and they really want what's best for you, and they're always working to help you. And I just felt like here I was more of a big fish in a little pond, whereas other schools, I felt like I was kind of getting lost in like the sea of students. So just like the faculty student relationship was a really big deal for me, and it's been amazing. I've never looked back.
Okay. All right, it looks like we have some more questions now. I think Ms. Hodges answered Jade's. What else? What is the average class size, and can you have your car on campus your freshman year? Average class size. It depends. Some of your general education requirements are going to be a little bit larger. Those are your lecture halls, your basic requirements in order to graduate college. Your kinesiology classes, much smaller. I wouldn't say there's more than 45 in one. I could be wrong. But I don't think it's much bigger.
We have a couple classes that are in the 70s, but
Okay, yeah, so this is probably not your
that's
kinesiology.
the exception, not the rule. Most of them around 30, 35.
Yeah, okay, cool. And can you have your car on campus? Yes, if you are the first in line to borrow a parking pass. Parking can be a little competitive around here for students. And the closer you are to campus, the more expensive it gets, and the further out you go, it gets a little bit cheaper, but never say never. You can have your car most of the time. Let's see, what dorm is best for freshmen? I was a College Hill girl.
Me too. Green Hall.
Central campus.
So there's 3 different areas on campus you can live. There's Weston, Central, and College Hill. All are great. Each have their pros and cons.
Best friend.
It's an ongoing debate here. You're never gonna get the end of it, but they all have good spots. So let's see what else. Is there a card for whatever meal plan select? Yes. Who has their one card on one? I saw somebody. This one card over here is going to be your go-to for everything. It's for your library, it's for financial aid, it's for meal plans, it's for whatever it may be. Get a bike. Yep. Mr. Ryder knows what James is all about. Get a bike.
Yeah, it's getting good physical activity. We got to promote physical activity. Exercise physiologist, so might as well do that, and that alleviates your parking situation. Get to farther a lot so that you get a bike and you're just there. You can get it.
How many classes a day do you have as a freshman? It just depends. It really depends on how you build out your schedule. Some days you have either your Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, or you have Tuesday, Thursday classes. It depends on a lot of different factors. If you prefer to go heavy in the morning and heavy in the afternoon, and then it also depends on availability of the classes too. So as a freshman, you'll be kind of lower on the totem pole as far as registration. So those upperclassmen are not going to get those 8 a.m.s, but you might. So it just depends on how you set up your schedule. And then it can also be amended. So if you go and register, as long as it's before the ad drop date, you can kind of adjust your schedule depending on wait list or whatever it may be. So yeah, Miss Hodges enjoyed cotton. So would you suggest putting all your classes on as few days as possible or spreading them out throughout the week? I think it depends on you. You're probably going to end up having to spread them out anyways. Is anybody gone just Tuesday, Thursday?
I'm so fortunately, I was gonna kind of add to it. My freshman and sophomore year, especially, I went ahead and bunkered down with the intent of having lighter senior and junior semesters, because if you get used to having a bunch of work your freshman and sophomore year, you can get those out of the way, and then your junior and senior year, you might not have as much work and classes, or you might not take as many classes, but you're gonna have a lot of writing papers to do, applying for this and that, your internships. So me personally, I'd bunker down your freshman and sophomore year. Then junior year, you have your tougher classes, your organic chemistries, if you take exercise physiology, your physics 2, things like that, that take a little bit more of your time versus English writing 1000. That a lot of people don't even have to take it because they did it in high school. But when you do that, it kind of just all weights itself out. I recommend putting a little bit more on your plate your freshman and sophomore year, because you're getting used to it anyway. So you might as well just get used to working hard, you know.
And it also just depends on the person. A lot of people want heavy Tuesdays and Thursdays, so maybe they have their Fridays off or something. Like this semester is my last semester, so I only have 4 classes right now, and Mondays and Wednesday I just have 1 class, and I don't have classes on Fridays. So I did what he said. I took a lot of classes my freshman and sophomore year, so now it's a little bit easier for me. But yeah, some people like spreading it out throughout the week, and some people like having their Fridays off and stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't do that. So especially with changing majors, I definitely have a little bit more on my plate, nothing crazy. My idea was my first semester, I did not want to be bunkered down with a bunch of classes. I would take the time to adjust. But I think after you get adjusted, definitely up those credit hours. You don't have to be hitting max. Do it out, like you have to feel it out and find out what you're comfortable with, especially with packing throughout the days. I'll usually have 2 or 3 classes a day. At one point for a whole year in a row, I had Thursdays off, and now I don't, and that hurts a little bit. But I wouldn't go slam all your classes in one day, because I did that and then I dreaded that day for an entire semester. but definitely hunkering down in the beginning years will be really good towards the end, especially with like the majors where you need an internship. It'll really help free up your schedule just in case, because you're not guaranteed to get into your classes. So I think getting on the game early makes sure that if any blips in your schedule do happen, you're able to compensate for that.
Yeah, and a lot of the courses are sequential, so you have to take class X to get to class Y. So that's kind of, you know, staying on top of your schedule, checking in with your advisors, all of that comes into play. Let's see what else. Oh, good question. Kind of tough. What is the starting salary range for a normal kinesiology student after graduation?
Say about 1 million.
I would be curious. I think it depends on which route you go. While the degrees kind of all ebb and flow together, they all kind of do lead to different types of jobs. Does anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, so it's a really great question. It honestly depends on what career you end up in, but not only that, where you're actually getting a job. So for example, if you live in a big city, you're going to make more money than if you live in rural North Carolina for the same position, right? So a physical therapist in Charlotte is going to make more money than a physical therapist in a smaller community, probably. If you're the corporate fitness person at Google, you're going to make a lot more money than if you're the corporate fitness person at, you know, a local kind of smaller enterprise, right? So I would love to be able to say you're going to make $100,000 or whatever, but you know, in reality, it's probably somewhere between, I know it's a big range, but 40,000 to, I don't know, over 100,000, depending on the situation. Anybody else have any kind of ideas about the job market for your specific programs?
I would say the 40,000 you could, and to me, if you kind of break it down to like an hourly amount, that's probably the going rate, regardless of where you are, is that 40,000 range. And then obviously, depending on your major or what type of work you're in, that's going to change. But I would say that's a safe bet for where you would start.
Anybody else? All right. Are the internships difficult to obtain? Do they recruit on campus directly? I'm not sure which degree program you're referencing. However, some have a couple more placements, like the school setting. You're going to have specific ones that you get assigned to or choose from. Whereas sports studies, you're going out on your own and you're finding one. You may have a lead or a contact somewhere, but it is up to you and your decision to kind of decide where you want to go. So it kind of just depends. We always say apply to all, you know, apply to as many as you can and see which ones you get. So yeah. Do professors help? Oh, go ahead, Dr. B.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said, just to answer Hendrix's question. Max, absolutely correct. So for us, you all have to find your internships, but to that, we hope to get you in freshman year if you are declared, and by sophomore year, expose you to all opportunities, whether it's volunteering for a local 5K or a marathon, or there's an internship. You don't have to do internships for credit. And we encourage our students to continuously look for internships if they have off in the summer and you're home and something's close to you and it piques your interest. We encourage you to do that. So hopefully you start early with our professors. And I think one thing that we failed to mention, all of us, is that we actually have experience in the field. And so we are well connected to a lot of the industry that we teach and we direct. So you utilize us as faculty, sit down with us, just like other your advisors. We can kind of work together to utilize that time to see what you want to do and get you to that internship, so it's less difficult. But certainly Mac is correct that students find their internships on their own. It's what they want to do, and we encourage you to apply, and you're probably going to apply to at least 20 or 30 internships to get one by your senior year.
There are some internships that do get posted on ECU's Handshake portal through Career Services. So that can be a good place to look for internships as well.
Is it common for students to start their own businesses to pursue their passion in the field? I'm not sure. I imagine a lot of our PT probably go on to maybe have their own practice after getting some experience in those fields.
So there's
go ahead.
actually in the health fitness specialist program, a lot of those individuals will start their own strength and conditioning facilities. And so they start as kind of independent contractors, or they'll work at the rec center and working underneath people as they're getting trained. But then they go on to start their own CrossFit gym or whatever. So in that aspect, there is. And so we definitely will try to set you up with, at least in the health fitness program, I know, like if we know that that's your end goal, that you want to own a gym, we will try to find you an internship with a person that has kind of had a similar pattern, right? Like, I got a kinesiology degree and this is how I start my business and this is what I need to, be successful in that. Additionally, I think the university has a pretty strong entrepreneurship program where you could potentially get I think there's a minor in that program, which if that's something that you're interested in, I would definitely look into the entrepreneurship program because there's a lot of opportunities for you there too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is the Miller School of Entrepreneurship here on campus. It's a great opportunity for you to kind of explore entrepreneurship. They also do a competition every year, which is really cool. And it's open to students from every major where you go and pitch your business idea. And then if you make it far enough or are selected as a winner, you get funding for that startup or that business. So it's really cool to see. Do professors help teach students how to get their certifications during their later years of graduate school, such as the final tests for PT? That's going to be where your kind of pre-professional advising center kind of comes into play, unless there's a specific course that I'm unaware of in regards to certifications, but I think it's the pre-professional advising.
And all your schools that are like pre-professional in nature, when you start looking at them like DPT, OT, dental, or med school, PA school, they're all going to list their pass rate as part of their marketing material because they want you to pass. So all of your pre-professional schools are going to have some sort of prep, whether it's a course or it's your whole curriculum and you do the studying on your own, but they all will report what that pass rate is for that certification exam for that pre-professional program.
Lisa, what about, do we have some ideas to have some classes that help for like the NSCA and those kind of things?
Yeah, so with the health fitness specialist degree and the exercise physiologist degree, we are becoming accredited by the American College of Sports Medicine and then the National Strength and Conditioning Association. And so with that, we also have to report pass rates on our students' certification exams. So our goal is to also create a certification review course for folks who are interested in obtaining a National Strength and Conditioning certification or an ACSM certification in the future. And those are probably, hopefully, on the docket soon. By the time you guys get here, they'll be on the books.
Exactly. That's kind of the idea. So where are we going? That's where we're trying to help you guys by developing some courses to help make it easy, not easier, but you'll still have to prepare, obviously, but to help you prepare better to have a greater chance of being successful on those certification exams.
How much do season tickets cost to a football game? Well, you need to join Student Pirate Club because you'll get priority tickets, and I think it's what, $60, $70?
50.
Oh.
It's always been 50.
All right, it's 50. Never mind. But it's $50 and you get access to all 6 or 7, depending on how many games we host. But and basketball and baseball. But if you follow us on social media, I always do a giveaway for incoming freshmen for a free year of Student Pirate Club. So that is a perk of following us on social media. And there is also Student Pirate Club. I'll send you the information for that Instagram account as well. For hands-on experience, what would we be working with athletes?
Well, I can add for that. I mean, granted, I am a cheerleader, so I was there and I had a foot in the door in that situation, but there is an internship at the Murphy Center to be an intern strength coach. And that's probably the most hands-on working with athletes that I've been. I always said I wanted to be a physical therapist that was specialized in PT. And after talking to a few professors, they recommended getting my CSCS, which is certification for athletes. And that says that I'm qualified in working with them. And then you can pursue your degree later down the line for PT. PT is a doctorate degree now. So that was kind of what I was weighing out my options. What could I kind of have a turnover first? And that's what I did. But I recommend going to Murphy Strength Center up here. Dennis is probably your guy, Dennis Wilson.
But the key word he said there was he got his foot in the door. And so making those relationships and connections and getting involved early is where it's going to be your best friend and your best opportunity to work with athletes. And it also kind of depends what was your, so James took a class in his exercise physiology where they had to do a research study. What was the research study you did?
Mine was with cheerleading and self-efficacy with Dr. Murray. It was an independent study.
But you did some work with
Yeah.
cheerleaders. So there's a couple of different routes you can go.
So just to plug my own work, I
Yeah.
work with different athletic teams doing sports science, applied sports science. And I have a group of 10 to 12 students every semester. So I'm just using me as an example. There are different faculty around that are involved with some of the athletes. But again, as Max says, as James says, you have to kind of show the initiative in your classes, because I would definitely have somebody like Haley or any one of these three people in front of you work on my team. But I wouldn't offer that opportunity up for everybody because, you know, those are kind of things that if I'm comfortable with you, I know the kind of student that you are, I'd want to have you involved. But if I don't know you because you sat in class and you didn't say anything because you were shy or whatever, it's hard for me to reach out for those kind of unique opportunities, right? So get to know your professors, get to know what they do. And that's kind of same thing about Noah with your interest in coaching. We have lots of opportunities for people working with coaches that we could potentially connect you with. So.
All right. What is campus life like for the students? What would be the 1 or 2 words of advice they would give?
Try to get out there, especially your freshman year. Make a lot of friends, because if you don't have many friends, you're really not. You need friends.
Keep your dorm room open during move-in. Say hello to everybody. Meet people on your hall. Get to know your RA. That's always a big one.
Joining clubs and stuff also, you can make friends. You can make friends in your classes. Like, don't just sit in the back corner and be on your phone the whole class. Like, you can talk to people, even if it's just ask for the homework or whatever. Like, you can make friends in your classes too.
Form study groups.
Yeah, I think for me, joining a sorority was a huge, I had a group of 100 some odd girls right away, but definitely keeping your door open and then just being present. Like, I always think college is kind of what you make of it in regards to social life and in class. You kind of got the best of both worlds. You can do, like, honestly here, you can do whatever you want academically. Like, there's really no limit, but also like going, like, there's so many events when you first get here and they're all specifically so you can make friends. So just like finding like a random group of people on your floor the week before classes, like go and get coffee together, go walk your classes. Don't isolate yourself, because you can do whatever you want to do and you'll reap your own benefits or suffer your own losses.
One thing that I did, and this is kind of a different approach, I would go and sit beside some random person in class. And I say, hey, I'm James Price. And the next time in class, they would either remember me and we would sit and we would talk. Oh yeah, that's the second time you've seen them, and then so forth. Or they're gonna move and you can just go sit beside someone else and they don't want to be again. And funny story is one of them is my roommate right now from freshman year, biology, general 1000 word 1050, whatever I had. I came up to him and the professor was like, okay, these are your permanent seats, these are who you're gonna sit beside, and that's your partner. And he thought that was just a meathead, big guy. I wore overalls and flip-flops to class, so I don't blame him. But I just didn't really care. But I did that, and you make friends that way. So get out of your comfort zone. That's the best thing I can say.
We've got such a great group. They're all so fun.
And I want to be the parent here.
Yeah.
Throw this out because my last one just graduated last year. You come to school to have fun. You're going to have a lot of freedom, more than you've ever had in your life. But balance that time with your schoolwork and know the reason why you're coming to school. And first and foremost, you're coming to school to get your degree. So make sure that's one of your priorities, because I think we find, well, if you've been around here long enough, you realize that some people come and they start the party on day one. They're gone by the end of the first semester because they've never been to classes. They've enjoyed this socialization and forgot about the schoolwork. So finding that balance, you definitely have to get out and you have to socialize and you have to meet people. But also realize that when you go to classes and your professors say, you know, I want you to read this chapter because you're going to have an assignment due the next class period. They're not going to remind you that, well, you forgot to do your assignment. You're just going to see a 0 in there and we move on. So you have to be responsible from that standpoint. But there is that balance of having fun and also doing your schoolwork too. Because if you don't, you won't be around too long. That's my dad moment.
Dad advice from Coach P. We should make a podcast. All right, guys. So we are kind of well over our hour allotment of time. I felt like it was a great conversation. I hope you learned a lot about our programs and our students and our professors. In the chat, I'm going to put all of our social media handles. One account, the last one, Ambassadors of HHP, is a student-run Instagram account from these fine folks here, along with their other ambassadors from different degree areas. So you get to kind of see day in the life student information. So Kendall's taken over this week and she is going to a conference. So you'll get to see the involvement from that aspect. But yeah, so I will put that in the chat now and we will send out a follow-up information email tomorrow with the recording as well as probably a handout and any contact information you may all need. So yeah, if you guys do not have anything else from us, thank you for joining. Go Pirates. Hope to hear from you all soon.